It starts with a young man in black arguing with driver. Maybe he's been training in martial arts lately, so he doesn't waste words. He just throws a fierce set of air punches into the void. The guy standing next to him couldn't help but laugh. Normally, I don't laugh much, unless I really can't hold it in. Speaking of being carefree, a delivery rider was riding along when he met an old man who kept spitting while driving. After taking 3 full water bullets to the face, the delivery rider couldn't take it anymore. He sped up, got revenge, and then ran off. Seeing the old man couldn't catch up, he planned to turn back for another round. But who knew? Don't come over here. Guys, remember to keep public hygiene when you're on the road, or our revenge battle like this might break out. In a parking garage, a Xiaomi SU7 was going downhill and met an oncoming car. Neither side gave way. The Xiaomi driver probably thought, the CEO said the whole world should respect us, so why aren't you? So he launched forward and rammed it. That's what you call strong faith in technology. The funniest part is the rescue attempt from these kind-hearted young men. Seeing the car tipped on its side, they rushed over to help. The good news is, the car was flipped back upright. The bad news is, they pushed too hard, so it rolled straight down into the water ditch behind it. They were very enthusiastic, but it seems they forgot to account for inertia. A woman who had only owned her car for 3 days went out to practice. Her husband sat beside her, reminding her to reverse. But instead of the brake, she accidentally stepped on the gas. The car shot forward like an arrow. Her husband screamed in despair. "Brake, brake." "Where's the brake?" she calmly replied. "I missed it, so what am I supposed to do?" Luckily, the parking barrier was strong enough to stop the disaster. Looking at the driver in the opposite car, going from angry to terrified, I honestly felt bad for him. It starts with a scene where a kid runs across the road and crashes straight into the dashcam car. The dashcam car. The skewered fried fish balls in his hand flew everywhere like fireworks. The driver hurried out to check on him, but just by looking at the kid's face, you can tell his only wish was, "Please don't tell my mom." At our freeway intersection, 2 cars refused to slow down and smashed into each other hard. Most notable was the lady in the windbreaker standing nearby. She calmly looked at the scene, as if nothing had happened. That's someone who's seen life. The most classic scene is a Volkswagen, parked proudly on a rooftop. Looking at the Audi Q3 at the intersection, I really feel bad for the owner. Who knows what grievance it had, but it sprayed washer fluid in every direction. The funniest scene is at the parking lot gate. A black car squeezed through a narrow gap into the exit lane. The blue car behind tried to copy it, but the black car suddenly reversed to tap its access card. Such smooth teamwork. Not even a Prison Break movie director would have to call them master. The dashcam driver wanted to save time by speeding into the emergency lane. Unexpectedly, the car ahead suddenly swerved, revealing an old man on our 3-wheeler, so the old man received a super-powered push from behind. Remember this, guys. The emergency lane is not your personal priority lane. At an intersection, the dashcam car stopped a whole meter away from a Bentley because he was afraid, yet the white car driver beside him casually pulled out his phone to record, as if mocking him. Annoyed, the dashcam driver moved forward to match the others. But looking at his trembling foot on the pedal, you can tell he was really trying hard to stay brave. Instead of using the wide-open road, the red Porsche, with flames coming from the exhaust, decided to charge straight into the flower bed in the middle of the road. Maybe it was afraid there were too many flowers, and nobody was looking at them, so it went in for a closer inspection. It starts with a woman riding as a passenger on a motorbike, but maybe she was in a rush or sleep-deprived, so she decided to launch herself off the bike and lie down on the ground to sleep. Then there's another young lady riding a bicycle in the middle of the road who suddenly felt sleepy, so she made a safe landing right there to take a nap. When you're out, with wheels that small, don't try to show off like this, or you'll sleep through the whole day. At an intersection while waiting at red light, modified car enthusiast with the sticker. Slow group rushed forward and slammed into the dashcam car's rear. If this is the slow group, the fast group must be taking off into the clouds. Speaking of being carefree, a woman casually ran at red light like she was strolling through her own living room, giving the motorcyclist who had just started on green a serious scare. A motorcyclist appointed himself as a traffic referee. Whenever he saw a car driving badly, he tried to kick it. But before his foot could even touch the car, he face-planted straight into the mud. That is self-made karma, with no excuse at all. Inside a parking garage, a man in a Mercedes had just found a nice spot and was about to reverse, and when a couple on a mini electric bike slid in smoothly and took the parking spot. Driver number 7 must have been so happy after getting his car that, at red light, he got excited and did a few rounds of artistic drifting right in the middle of the intersection. After the performance, he casually ran the red light and left. The result of having too much fun was a 10-day vehicle detention and 6 points deducted. Truly, the most expensive magic trick of the year. In another scene, after Mercedes passed through the toll gate, before the barrier arm could lower, a female driver in a tanker truck launched a frontal attack and snapped the barrier arm off. The dashcam driver was driving and recklessly overtaking when suddenly the speed was limited to only 25 kilometers per hour. No matter how hard he pressed the gas, it just wouldn't go any faster. Maybe the fancy Chanel-style outfit he was wearing had 10 times the normal wind resistance, who knows? It starts with a dramatic scene. A driver was tailing an overloaded truck when a small car cut him off, then deliberately reversed to stage accident scene. Seeing the other guy aggressively approaching, the driver immediately pulled out pepper spray and blasted him hard. The guy's eyes burned so badly he had to run to the river to wash his face. Who taught you to spray like that? Watching him spray, I thought he was a premium level user of QQ, forcefully accessing someone else's personal space. In another scene, a young lady rode her electric bike onto Al Road, full of wet mud, and slipped hard. Seeing her lying still like that, it must have hurt a lot. Here comes another extremely confusing ghost car incident. The car was parked on a slope, with the handbrake pulled, yet somehow it rolled away by itself and hit the guardrail. And then there was that guy driving with full focus, looking straight ahead, yet still getting flipped over hard by a trash bin on the roadside. In traffic, the chance of being defeated by a trash bin is never 0%. A white car slowly came forward and scooped up some dogs walking right in front of a police car. True fortune is found in danger. Doing that right under the eyes of the police takes unbelievable courage. Even more classic is a Volkswagen driver. Seeing the police forcing traffic to merge and slow down, he immediately rushed into the emergency lane to overtake. That kind of move is rare, but the ending is very common. He was caught shortly after. The cops were nearby, yet he had the guts of an F1 driver. An old man on a three-wheeler took a sip of liquor while riding to stay energized. His only wish was probably to have his license suspended. But sadly, he doesn't even have ad license to suspend. Old Ginger truly fears no weapon. It starts with a young lady on an electric bike about to turn left when suddenly, she slammed the brakes after seeing a car. The dashcam driver right behind her couldn't react in time and gently bumped her. You'd think a heated argument would break out. But instead, the young lady turned around with a charming smile. The dashcam driver probably froze and thought, were you trying to smell the young lady's perfume by following that closely? With such a gentle-looking face, this has to be the dashcam driver's fault. No doubt, driving at night on a highway and meeting high beam addicts feels like facing the sun head-on. The driver was blinded, couldn't see anything, and as a result, slammed straight into the back of a loaded three-wheeler. Speaking of expert-level driving, one driver met at large oncoming vehicle still blasting high beams. Blinded by the light, he pulled off a sharp, evasive move. With that perfect tail swing, before he could even catch his breath, another road monster came rushing in. The driver slammed the brakes again, stopping less than a meter from the truck's front. That was truly a lucky escape. The dashcam car was preparing to turn right. Looking at the opposite lane, the cars were lined up properly, but right after turning, he immediately met a friend. From far away, white car was proudly driving against traffic as if it were in London. The two sides had an intense face-to-face exchange, leaving the white car driver frozen for 5 seconds. The truck driver beside them couldn't help but roll down his window. To watch the show, a little kid climbed onto a three-wheeler right in front of adults. With just 1 second of carelessness, the kid twisted the throttle and sent the vehicle flying. Only then did the adults panic and chase after it, but it was already too late. This one is definitely the adult's fault. For not supervising properly, you are raising a little beggar gangmaster here, aren't you? Speaking of aggression, a black car driver tried to cut in, right next to the dashcam car. The dashcam driver firmly refused to give way, so the black car driver lost his temper. The dashcam driver wasn't easy to mess with either. If you want trouble, he'll give it to you. It starts with, dashcam driver going straight. When the light turned red, maybe because he panicked or lost signal, he didn't slow down. Instead of rear-ending the car ahead, he chose to turn sideways, creating a 3-car pileup and dragging 2 other cars into the disaster. At the entrance of an underpass, a 4-wheeled electric car casually kept cutting in, as if it were driving through its own living room, when the dashcam car tried to avoid it to the right. The old man still insisted on forcing a collision. In the end, the dashcam car pushed him along for quite a distance. Now the happy old man has officially become the crying old man. Truly unbelievable. The funniest part is that driver stopping to relieve himself by the roadside. Unfortunately, he was in such a rush that he forgot the handbrake. The car rolled straight into the back of the black car ahead. In another scene, a taxi got cut off extremely closely. The taxi driver probably should thank his lucky star for getting both operate and insurance compensation. What a deal. Speaking of mini electric vehicles, one of them took a corner too aggressively and flew over the divider into the opposite lane. Scraped an electric bike, then pulled up and turned back again. Driving like this makes it a true street assassin. Some accidents are truly fascinating. Clearly, they scraped someone else's car themselves, but then they collapsed on the ground to fake injury and screamed like they were the victim. Anything really can happen in this world. It starts with a cow appearing out of nowhere and blocking an electric car in the middle of the road. The electric car driver was so scared he swerved around like a bullfighter. Then finally made a sudden counter move and crashed straight into the car ahead. The funniest part is an old man on an electric bike doing a wild tail slide drift right at the intersection. Some people simply weren't born to drive. For example, this car driver tried to perform a tilted car overtake but ended up sliding under a truck. The truck driver was very kind, giving the little car a loving push from behind, escorting it on our trip for another 2 meters into the emergency lane before finally letting go. Speaking of reckless moves, a driver in a Neo cut off container truck, making the truck driver brake so hard the tires smoked heavily. Remember this, guys, driving an IO doesn't mean you're guaranteed to have a future. In another scene, driving genius, not wanting to wait at the red light, crossed the double yellow lines and drove against traffic in the non-motor lane to avoid the camera. That is sudden intelligence and instant stupidity. Hopefully the police will award him a certificate called all-around traffic offender. At parking lot, man in red volunteered to reverse his friend's car. He confidently claimed he could do it, but one press of the gas sent the car flying. It smashed through the railing and plunged straight into it. This method is indeed fast and efficient. The only problem is the car is no longer intact. The clip ends with a great invention in the transport industry, a trailer that can stretch like a spring. Watching the driver pull out one section, then another. I thought I was watching Transformers. If this vehicle were in India, it could probably carry an entire village on its back. It starts with a car driver who definitely mistook the gas pedal for the brake. After ramming the car ahead twice with full force, he made one final sprint and even took out a cyclist along the way, only stopping when he met wall, sitting peacefully indoors, yet disaster still falls from the sky. Speaking of skill, 1. Car driver saw the pickup's tail still hanging out, so he got inspired and performed a tilted car overtake. The angle was sharp and textbook perfect. Our driver was blinded by headlights. When he finally saw clearly, it turned out the owner of that beam of light was that Dayan brand truck, charging down the middle of the road. There was even a truck driver who turned off all the lights to save electricity. The most classic scene is two cars staring at each other in the rain. The dashcam car was frozen by the oncoming high beams. The two cars slowly approached, then stopped, gazing at each other in silence. A romantic scene, but also extremely sarcastic. A small car parked illegally and caused a chain disaster. Two fully loaded trucks smashed into each other. Concrete pipes flew everywhere, and the cab was crushed. I wonder if the car owner, after seeing the scene, regretted those few careless minutes. In another scene, all mini electric cars suddenly changed lanes, leaving the dashcam car. No time to avoid it. Small but dangerous, though this kind of danger is pure self-destruction. At an intersection, a commercial vehicle ran a red light and knocked the legendary Wooling straight into the bushes. Judging by the speed and driving style, this driver must be a regular customer of the traffic police. The funniest part is that taxi driver trying to teach a tiny car a lesson for not letting him cut in. The taxi overtook and cut in sharply, but ended up hitting it, causing the taxi itself to fly into the air and land on the oncoming car. In the end, the tiny car only had minor scratches, while the taxi was wrecked. Man proposes, stupidity disposes. The dashcam driver saw a pedestrian and stopped to give way. Very civilized. And the pedestrian was also very considerate. But life is not a dream. The car behind couldn't brake in time and rear-ended the dashcam car. Sometimes being a good person is just unlucky, but the best one has to be the dashcam driver, who dodged a head-on crash by driving straight into a cornfield. A decisive and courageous move.